This video goes over the structure for an introductory paragraph in an argumentative essay. And here's two examples or ways to do it. Start off with an attention grabber, get at the history or importance of the controversy, objectively state the two opposing sides, start to build up towards your thesis by previewing what your main arguments are going to be, and then give a one-sentence thesis where you claim one side. Or you could start with an attention grabber and the history and importance, same as before, but instead of listing both of the opposing sides, just list the opposing viewpoint and follow that with your thesis. And in that thesis, preview your body paragraphs as reason 1, 2, and 3. So for examples, I'm going to consider these topics. Should the school day start later? Do video games lead to violence? Is income inequality increasing in America? And are additional regulations necessary to protect people from payday lenders? And we'll go through each of these pieces of an introductory paragraph for each of these topics. So first, an attention grabber for the school start time. Beep, beep, beep. Alarm clocks around the world may jolt teenagers awake and send them on their way to school, but are their brains ready to learn? So this is a common experience that many people go through, and it points toward the thesis. Or an attention grabber could be an extreme example. If investigators discovered that the world's most violent criminals listened to Mozart 8 hours a day growing up, then should Mozart be blamed as an insidious influence? So if you didn't figure it out, the thesis would eventually be that video games do not lead to violent behavior. And this attention grabber kind of points to that thesis. It doesn't just introduce the topic with a question like, have you ever played a video game? But it points toward and previews what the actual thesis will be. Another way is to put a bold twist on a common expression or belief. So, America, a nation founded on securing freedoms and opportunities for all people, is no longer a place for every citizen to dream big. The American dream is something that is commonly expressed or believed in, and this is shooting that down and saying it doesn't exist. And the last example of an attention grabber is asking a provocative question, such as, are payday lenders a safety net for struggling families to make ends meet, or a web for trapping people in a cycle of debt? And that's kind of where we're leading with that second one. Our thesis is that they're predatory. The next thing that belongs in an introductory paragraph is some history or importance of the controversy. So if talking about school day start times, some history might be there was a push in the second half of the 20th century for earlier school start times to reduce transportation costs, better fit parent schedules, and provide more time after school for extracurriculars. Or, also under history, a body of research has come out regarding how the adolescent sleep cycle is affected by school start times. And why is this topic important? Because millions of adolescents attend schools at various start times. Which one of them is best for students' overall health and academic performance? For the video game violence topic, some history might be that researchers have condemned video games with links to adverse behaviors or warned that violent video games provide a poor example for children, while other history would be that researchers have proposed that already violent individuals seek out video games, so it doesn't cause the violence, or that people are looking for something to blame after every violent tragedy and video games are an easy target. The importance might be that the vast majority of children are increasingly being exposed to violent video game content. For income inequality, our background or history and importance could be that the increasing income inequality makes social mobility more difficult because there's a larger gap. Or let's look at the economic trends of the past, or let's consider the ideology of the American dream and whether that still exists. The last topic, payday lenders, in need of regulation or not. Some history might be referring to the Bible. It condemns lending money to the poor with interest. Or the current state of laws that different states disallow or regulate payday loans differently. I think 38 states allow them. Or that federal protections were enacted and then repealed. And why is this important? Millions of Americans use payday loans every year. So regardless of which structure you're following, your paragraph had those two things, the attention grabber and the history or importance of the controversy. Up next, let's follow this first example by listing the opposing sides objectively. So you might say, while some believe that schools should start later to match adolescent sleep patterns, others believe a change would be more harmful than beneficial. Or, some conclude that video games cause adverse behaviors, while others believe any links found in the data are insignificant or misleading. Or, income inequality is increasing according to some economists, while others suggest this is not the case when other factors are taken into consideration. Some argue that the existing model of payday loans is better for consumers, while others believe federal regulation is necessary to provide fair lending practices. The important thing there is to be objective and to state both sides without being persuasive. And then the last part, you have some choice. I recommend previewing your major arguments first and building up to your thesis. Then you end on a very strong note. However, you could pretty much skip this build-up and just have your thesis. I believe that video games do not cause violence because of reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. And those would preview your body paragraphs. Reason 1 would be body paragraph number 1, reason 2, body paragraph number 2, and reason 3, body paragraph number 3. That's a simpler way of doing things. I think if you build up to your thesis by previewing your major arguments first, it makes for a stronger paragraph. One thing to note, you should save your direct quotes and your citations and all of those things for your body paragraphs. We are keeping things general here.